to emphasize the autonomy. Inomkhuba phakathi lonto. One day uyobabona sebegqoke ezinye izinto le kude kuthi babefuna autonomy nje. I'm just emphasizing this because it's important. It's part of the good politics of the ANC. Because once you say so, we are beginning to say, maybe I can do wrong things. The ANC has no right to caution or to stop or to guide. You see the point? From today, hey, President, now Secretary, don't try to emphasize the autonomy. No more. The ANC Youth League, and I will say it, that's where the ANC future members of the motherboard and leaders come from. They can't come from anywhere else. The founding leaders of the ANC Youth League correctly understood this relationship when they wrote in its manifesto that, and I quote, African youth must be united, consolidated, trained, and disciplined because from their ranks, future leaders will be recruited, unquote. They further noted that the formation, and I quote, the formation of the ANC National Congress Youth League is an answer and assurance to the critics of the national movement that African youth will not allow the struggles and sacrifices of their fathers to have been in vain. Our fathers fought so that we are better equipped when our time came, should start and continue from where they stopped, unquote. These words reassure us that the ANC Youth League remains a preparatory school and an incubator of the ANC. It is charged with the immense responsibility to produce leaders for the ANC and for the country. We are confident that your generation will carry on this rich legacy and common heritage of our people. In this regard, we are encouraged by your discussion document prepared for this Congress on organizational building, which asserts, among other things, that, and I quote, we as the ANC Youth League are charged with an obligation not to view our ongoing process of organizational rebuilding with gloom and despondency, but rather as an opportunity to take stock of the milestone achieved by this organization against resilient obstacles and the struggle heritage accumulated throughout these years. Close quote. Comrades, let me reiterate that the formation of the ANC Youth League 71 years ago represented a watershed moment in the struggle for freedom and self-determination for the African majority. It marked an important turn of events in the history of the ANC itself. it is common knowledge that the 1944 generation of the ANC youth takes the credit for having systematically infused radical politics into the ANC and having transformed it into a fighting force with a mass presence. The same generation would, in the later years, play a central role in sustaining the tempo of revolution, even under conditions of illegality. The formation and operations of Umkhonto weSizwe are indicative of this fact. It is therefore not an exaggeration to suggest that present-day South Africa is very much the result of the militancy and youthful energy of young people of the ANC. After many years of clandestine activities and being unorganized due to the outlawing of the National Liberation Movement, the ANC Youth League was officially relaunched at its 1991 National Congress in KwaNyamazane. This followed the unbanning of the ANC and other opponents of the liberation movement due to the historic and heroic and relentless struggles of our people. The distinguishing feature of the conference was the serious responsibility that the youth of 1991, led by Peter Mkapa, had to carry out in order to fast-track our transformation to democracy. This transition period, especially between 1990 to 1994, needed a very strong and focused ANC Youth League with the energy necessary to mobilize and organize young people throughout the length and breadth of our country. Needless to say, the ANC Youth League played a key role in delivering an overwhelming majority to the ANC during the 1994 elections and in the shaping of the democratic transition and transformation processes. This indeed lends credence to the notion that the ANC Youth League has an integral role to play in the life of the ANC. There can not be a substitute for the ANC Youth League. Comrade delegates, I remarked at the National Consultative Conference last year that just like both the 1944 and 1991 National Congresses, this Congress was convened and organized by an appointed interim leadership structure. You have demonstrated your determination to lead yourselves by sorting out a leadership issue swiftly. Do you have good memories? Do you? When did things go wrong in the ANC Youth League? Who remembers? Huh? Then we are right. Mangaung. Then I heard some voices saying Mangaung. That's where things went wrong. And I want to underline this because it is important for you. Because when we think you have reached a turning point, we should be saying with confidence, what happened in Mangaung? You started a culture that was never there before. I remember I came as I've come now to address you. Each time I finished a point, some of you thought it was important, you mentioned a leader you were standing for. And if I said another one, you mentioned another leader. Instead of listening to me telling you what you need to do as youth, you were focusing your mind to your candidates. Not so. As a result, the conclusion of the conference was not very good. In fact, it was postponed. It was postponed, but you know fully well, it never said again. I don't know whether you hypnotized the mother body. Maybe you did. Because they then concluded it by taking a decision. Good to know, Huawei in a valley. And you continued as if that was abnormal. Not so. Since that time, was ever the ANC Youth League right? Who remembers the second one? The second conference? Where was it? It was in Kalag, but in a different hall that side. I also came. Izinto were totally out of order. I remember when I was talking here, on my right, somebody said, something like that. And I was talking about, who remembers? Libya. Yes. And I thought he was going to agree when I asked to ukhuluma namna. What I thought he was going to say yes, because I was going to say Ozala. And he was going to tell me what he knows about Libya. But I'm just telling you, even that conference, delegates were dispossessed of their phones, locked in hotels as if they were in prison. You remember? Many of you were there, not so? My babo. Since then, you have been subjected to what is called teams, transitional, all the time. Was there an attempt for the third one? Who remembers? Last year, what happened? You remember? Hey, I don't want to explain that one because kunabantu lapha engabathembi kahle. But I don't want to say what happened. But the fact of the matter, your conference had to turn into a consultative. Correctly so. Many of you at the time, you thought the leadership was wrong. The leadership was right. I'm sure today we agree. Now, I'm saying this because I want to remind you, you have more important task for the country rather than an inward looking. The ANC looks up to you for the future, and the country looks up to you. So you must reach a turning point. You just depend which direction you take between the two. Are you taking left? Are you taking right? Because each one has its own implications. But you must reach a turning point as the ANC Youth League. absolutely a wonderful organization to belong to as a South African. If you have never gone through the ANC Youth League and you think you can make South Africa to change, forget it. Forget it. So we need to make this organization wonderful, likable, attractive, produce ideas, say things that the mother body at times cannot say. Not rude politics, progressive, scientific. Any direction of political commitment that is not scientific can be wobbled on the way and be pushed away. Only scientific approach will reach your destination. Although you might correctly believe that the journey to get to this Congress was long and strenuous, the Congress is not in itself a destination. You can't say you have arrived. The Congress is a necessary and a key component of our long journey towards the ANC's overarching vision of building a truly united, democratic, non-racial and non-sexist and prosperous South Africa. That is our destination. And when we sing and say in the indlela esihambayo siyohlangana sisho lapha wa prosperous South Africa, singakafiki khona sikafiki isende indlela, singathi ke we've arrived, we've just stopped halfway. To successfully reach this destination, we need a well-functioning ANC Youth League, which masters its twin tasks of advancing the interests of young people while at the same time rallying them behind the banner and vision of the African National Congress. Without the African National Congress, there will be no prosperity or South Africa that is prosperous. Bangakhuluma bakhulumayo, bakakubuwa bakubuwanga. Hey, the truth is that we are the ones with the clarity where the South African that is prosperous is and which direction to take. In this regard, as delegates to this Congress, you are part of a special generation making history in our movement and our country. Just like the generation of 1944 and 1991, your generation will be remembered as having opened a new chapter in the life of the ANC Youth League. Don't lose that moment. Seize the moment. This is the first National Elective Congress since the ANC declared that we have now entered the second phase of our long-drawn transition from apartheid colonialism to the National Democratic Society. During this phase, we will take bold and decisive steps, especially at the level of policy formulation, to ensure radical economic transformation. The ANC Youth League has a responsibility to influence ANC policies to ensure that they advance the well-being of the youth. Let me repeat this line. The ANC Youth League has a responsibility to influence ANC policies to ensure that they advance the well-being of the youth and the society, of course. After Bloemfontein, we went to NGC in Durban. What did the youth do there? You remember? Were you there? Huh? You don't force down the throat of the mother body policies. You persuade them. You must have the skill to persuade them to see the point as they've always done. Because once you think we are something, you know, after Durban, in the conference which was held here, you called yourself the vanguard of the workers. My babu. Tito was a George Koch. Did we understand what a vanguard means? And the history of the workers? No, nani ikhulumela nje. Ngoba kumnandi. Wanda msebenzi. The youth must also be the forefront of implementing the progressive ANC policies and the movement's program of action. That is your task. This Congress, therefore, has the responsibility to determine the place and role of a united and radical ANC Youth League in this second phase of our transition. You must spend time finding your space in the policies and programs and make a positive contribution to our policies and programs and actions. That's the job of the youth. Find your space. This must be done with the full understanding, as remarked in one of your discussion documents, that, and I quote your document, the successful accomplishment of the tasks of the second phase of the transition depends precisely on the successful mobilization of the youth as a potent force for revolutionary change, indeed, as the catalyst, the foot soldiers, and the cutting edge of the struggle during this phase. Close quote. That is your document that says this. I'm just reminding you, because I'm certain you read all your documents. In short, we need a radical, militant, and robust ANC Youth League which operates within the general organizational discipline of the ANC to participate in taking our country forward to the national democratic society we envisage. We need an ANC Youth League that appreciates that militancy without discipline amounts to anarchy, counter-revolution, and mobocracy. A disciplined ANC Youth League must therefore resume its position as the epicenter of progressive radical politics around the youth of South Africa. You must lead the youth of South Africa politically. You must do so by mobilizing all young people behind the vision of the ANC and close the space for all opportunistic, pseudo-left and narrow nationalists and counter-revolutionary organizations which confuse rudeness, and ill discipline with revolutionary action and utterances. Now, let me tell you, all revolutions of the world, real revolutions, do produce counter-revolutionaries. Do you think South Africa has not done so? Are there no counter-revolutionaries in South Africa? Who must talk about them if you don't? If you don't talk about counter-revolutionaries, who must talk about them? People do things which are counter-revolutionary, but you don't tell them, and they think they're doing the right thing. I want you to differentiate between revolutionaries and counter-revolutionaries. And you should say it as the youth. Counter-revolutionaries are counter-revolutionaries. No matter where the space they are, if they counter the revolution, they are counter-revolutionaries. Not so. Nina niyesaba ukubabiza. Niyesaba nakho ningasho. Niyesaba. Kodwa ningama revolutionaries. Huh? My babo. Where babo? More importantly, the ANC Youth League must define its role in both the offensive and defensive strategies and tactics of consolidating the gains of our revolution. Your role is to defend this hard-won democracy from all counter-revolutionary elements wherever they are placed. Siyavumelana. Ebavuma kancane. Nizokwenza lokho. Let me repeat. Your role is to defend this hard-won democracy from all counter-revolutionaries, from all counter-revolutionary elements, wherever they are placed. Whether in the social media that you are part of, whether in parliament, nina nike parliament in la, dila nabo mabe parliament, you are counter-revolutionary. Not so. Wherever you find them, you can't keep quiet. Who must defend the ANC if you don't? Nicabanga ukuthi utata umlangeni must now stand up and defend the ANC. Nikhona. Hey, that is very serious. I wish I was young. Absolutely. To be able to do this, you need to be able to define counter-revolutionary in the South African context, to enable the organization to respond to it in defense of the ANC, our revolution, and the Republic of South Africa and its people as a whole. A challenge. What is a counter-revolutionary? Because you must first know that, so that you will identify a counter-revolutionary. What is counter-revolution? Itask team iyayazi angithi? Niyayazi? Niyayazi? Can I entrust that you help the youth? No. There's no need to do so, because nina isikhathi seniphelile kakade. Nina nanilungiselele komfa. You are not going to stay. You can't be a permanent task team. What's wrong with you? All I'm saying, we need to discuss politics. Well, there's a lot of wrong politics and wrong understanding in the country. We are not clarifying the issues. And I'm saying that's the task of the youth in the main. I'm not saying the mother body must not do it. People are doing counter-revolution. We are just looking at them as if they are doing nice things. total counter-revolution. The ANC and South Africa need you right now, the Youth League, not tomorrow. The challenge is now. You need to be focused, clear, and determined to work hard in rebuilding the ANC Youth League for it to contribute meaningfully to transformation for the benefit of the country as a whole. The situation needs you now. After this conference, because I want to believe that after this conference, there will be no groupings, there will be no factions, there will be nothing. That's my belief. Because we have a task at hand we need to deal with. We don't have to deal with ourselves. We need to deal with the task at hand. We need to lead South Africa to prosperity. It's getting too late. Otherwise, we're going to take long to arrive there. We need to be united, to work together, to be clear, to be ready for action. Comrades, you have come a long way to this point. We encourage you to take radical decisions at this Congress that, in line with your correct generational mission to achieve economic freedom, inspired by the path-breaking generations of 1944 and 1991. You must not forget, it was in this venue where we took a decision about the economic freedom. So don't hear other people who moved away with it from here, making it their policy and think that it belongs to them. We took a decision here when we took the decision about radical change. That's what you need to do. You must lead. You have an organization that is all over the country. You don't have an organization of few individuals who make a lot of noise, giving an impression they lead many people when they don't. You are also the generation that has the enormous task of cleansing the ANC Youth League of all negative tendencies that have crept in over the years, the ones we referred to. We must cleanse it. These tendencies threatened to tear the organization asunder and erode its proud history and status in society. Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa referred to some of these negative tendencies yesterday. They include gatekeeping, bulk buying of membership, intimidation, careerism, patronage, political enslavement of new comrades, crass materialism, and the use of money to secure votes. You should answer me. I've just talked about counter-revolutionaries. If the ANC wants to organize more members so that it grows, it has the talent, and you keep the gate, you don't want them to come in, is that not counter to what the ANC is doing? Navuma kancane manje. Can it be classified as counter-revolutionary? Ngavuma kancane, ngiyanizwa, ngoba nisafuna ukuqhubeka nakho. Huh? That's counter. We are countering what the ANC stands for. Kufuneka siwabize manje ama counter revolution mayela ethona izinto enhle. My babo. The political enslavement of young people, kunzima. Members ezinye members of other members. We member what join on your own, and another comrade join on his or her own. You now joins you, and you agree you are mine. Hey, serious. Now, I'm going to leave it to you because you are very imaginative. The things I counted here, I want you in your discussions to isolate those that are indeed counter-revolutionary. Zonbuza next time. I'm also going to visit the new National Executive Committee. Sawuqala lapha endaba. Ngifuna bayizwe laba abahola ama officials. So iqala lapha endaba. We now need to be very clear as the Youth League of the ANC about wrong tendencies, the negative tendencies, the counter tendencies, and you must give them the names they deserve. Agreed? Wonderful. I'm very happy. Because we can't, on our own, ourselves, undermine our organization. That's not the commitment and the loyalty to the organization. It's the opposite of that. So we are countering what the ANC wants to do. So abiza ama counter-revolutionaries lapha yakude. So afuna nalama ekhona. Afuneki neyodwa la. We don't need a single one. We need revolutionaries here. And we must all contribute towards making our mission successful. You have a responsibility to rebuild and unite the ANC Youth League throughout the length and breadth of our country. The interests of the ANC Youth League, the ANC, and the country must come first before any personal consideration. Otherwise, if that was not the case, comrades who fell fighting would not have died. Once they realized they're about to die, they would have said, sorry, I don't want to die, others can die. But because they put the ANC, which gave them tasks, and the country, they were ready to die, and they died. They went to prison, they were tortured, they were killed. That's what we need to do. It is absolutely important that we bear this in mind as a youth league. Therefore, the ANC Youth League that emerges from this Congress must unite behind the new leadership at national and all levels and work hard to eliminate factionalism, which diverts cadres from their important work of building the ANC and the country. We must kill these animals called fascism, factionalism. That animal must be killed. It's a dangerous animal to the ANC. You join the ANC, you join another organization within the ANC called Faction Gasbanban. Anna Mahlon. This is a period of renewal. The old tendencies that we saw in Bloemfontein must change. Change they must. We cannot continue on that wrong and destructive path that for almost close to a decade we have been in trouble as an ANC Youth League. We need an ANC Youth League that is loyal to the ANC in the first instance and loyal to the people of this country. We also urge you to rebuild the ANC brand among the youth. Through your conduct in every branch, the ANC Youth League will reclaim its place as a strong, visible, appealing, and popular brand with which every young person in our country wishes to associate. It is going to come from you. Everybody must feel, if I'm not in the ANC Youth League as a young person, I'm nowhere. I'm not a good citizen. It must begin to define South Africanism. The programs you adopt at this Congress should strike a chord with young people and the challenges they face in their lives in a changing South Africa. Think clearly. Don't just take high political good decisions only. Take others that relate to ordinary people. The real people that we serve, they must feel that they're associated with what comes out here. If there's any draftile, tweak them after this. They must talk to your youth, whether at the universities or outside of the universities at any other place. They must feel the ANC Youth League is representing us now. Very important. The campaigns of the ANC Youth League around those programs should rally every young person in the country, regardless of race, gender, or creed. All of this must be done without losing the proud traditions of our movement and the heritage of struggle, which is passed on from generation to generation. You must do all that is necessary to strengthen, defend, and preserve the ANC Youth League of illustrious leaders such as Anthony Lembede, Godfrey Piche, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Robert Hesha, Patrick Mulawewe, or Peter Mugabe. We must do so because the ANC Youth League is indeed a priceless and timeless asset of the ANC and of the people of our beautiful country, South Africa. We congratulate you on the progress made thus far, leading up to this Congress and since the beginning of the Congress. There is a very good atmosphere, which indicates ANC is meeting. ANC Youth League is meeting. I arrived shortly after last night shortly after midnight, from China. When I listened to the news, much as I heard some, as they were playing it in the news, talking and shouting, and I said to myself, are we repeating the old? Are the tendencies not dying? But what made me feel comfortable Because I had one comrade saying, let us accept the verdict, even if he used a lot of adjectives describing what he thought it was. But he said, we accept it as ANC. I thought this is a turning point. This is a turning point. That comrade went further to say those who are supporting me must not go to court. I thought we were taking the corner, because this new tendency has created people who go to court all the time. I thought we are turning a corner. I must really congratulate you for that. Absolutely wonderful to listen. You know, I was listening this morning to the Morning Live. They were already calling people to comment on this conference. You know, the conference is not even over. But people already are discussing, dissecting it, doing that. We sell as the ANC brand, by the way. There's no day in the newspapers there is no ANC reported in one form or the other. We sell. If we were the other organization, we'd be asking for commission. Because news sell because of us. I'm telling you the truth. But I'm saying you are showing that in the last 2 years, we have done some work. I know, coming from the culture where you come from, it may not be very good and nice either to lose or whatever. But that is what tests your politics, your maturity. That's what tests you are being a Democrat. In democracy, voting is the life. And you can't all be voted for one position. One wins, one loses. The teachings of the ANC say, once you lose, you accept. And you follow the leadership. Because it's your comrade. It is your comrade. It's not your enemy. It's your comrade. One day, he's going to lead. For you to be able to lead people who are willing to be led, you must also be ready to be led by those who lead you at a given time. There is no one who was born a leader. A leader is made by activities, by organizations. But it is absolutely important for all of us to understand. You might have those who believe you are capable, but they might just be lesser than those who believe that the other comrade is more capable. And that is expressed in the results of the elections. Accept it. Accept it. Not that if you think there's something wrong, use the correct channels to address those. That's how we work. I love giving this example, which is a very rich historical example. In Mangaung, there were 3 candidates in the first ANC conference. The most prominent was Makgatu and Dube. Makgatu came with the biggest delegation from the Transvaal. And they were contesting. He appreciated what John Dube had been doing. And he went to talk to his delegation, which had nominated him, and said to them, I'm appealing to you, Comrade John Dube is a good leader. Let us all vote for him from Transvaal so that he becomes the president. And indeed, the Transvaal delegation voted for Dube, and Dube won. He became the first president. In the next conference, Makgatho contested again, and Makgatho won. He became the president. Because he was a capable leader, but thinking about the organization. So the fact that he did not win the first, it was not that he will never win again. He was able to give John Dube the chance. And the next conference, they said, you must now be the president. Do we still have such caliber of leaders today? No. We must create them, because it is a good culture, the good caliber to leaders. Not to say, I will die if I did not become a president, or I get angry with people, or I want to show how much I'm hurt because my comrade has been elected. Where did we learn that? Kukhona organization engezukuyibiza ngegama. Abantu baye baze bagqoke uniform ye-organization bayolwa ku TV. Angiyibizi ngegama, ngilikhohliwe igama layo. Ngilikhohliwe nje kancane. Now we can't be like that. We are the hope of the people, and people learn from us, not only in South Africa, in the continent. They learn from the ANC, they learn from the ANC government. And therefore our conduct should bear that in mind. It's not just for me as an individual, it is for the organization and the people of this country. But so far, well done. I'm confident we have turned the corner. I am confident. I'm very happy. I'm feeling very happy. On behalf of the ANC National Executive Committee, we wish this historic ANC 25th National Congress phenomenal success. Amandla! Awethu! Matla! Yarona! All power! Oh, hinde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde lendlela esihamba. Oh, hinde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde lendlela esihambayo. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-freedom. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-freedom. Ihinde lendlela esihambayo. Ihinde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde lendlela esihamba. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-freedom. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-freedom. Hinde lendlela esihambayo. Hinde lendlela esihambayo. Hinde lendlela esihambayo. Hinde lendlela esihambayo. Washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-freedom. washumandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sohlangana nge-Freedom Day.
Amandla. Amandla. No, comrades, thank you very much. Comrades, let's proceed with our program. Let's proceed with our program, comrades. We are now going to allow messages of support from our PYA structures. We'll start with our PYA structures, and then we'll outline after that the process thereof. Let me request COSAS to come and give or present the message of support for not more than 2 minutes. Let's allow COSAS, let's encourage COSAS as they come forth to present the message of support. Immediately after COSAS, SASCO be ready, and YCL. I'm not going to come back here. Immediately after COSAS, SASCO, please be here, and YCL, 2 minutes each, in that order, comrades. Let's encourage COSAS as they come forward. Thank you. Bishop. Okay.
Amandla! 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 Thank you very much. My name is Kulegani Skosana, the Secretary General of the Congress of South African Students. I've been asked to summarize issues of 9 million learners in South Africa within 2 minutes. I'm going to try my best. The first issue we must clarify is that we are very grateful that the Youth League is back. I-Youth League beyisabophi iqhathulo. I-Youth League beyiguce ngamadolo. That boy, Julius Malema, must know that we are coming for him. Julius Malema thinks that, in fact, he has thought Uguti beret is a crown. That ugly beret of theirs is nothing but cheap fabric from Japan and China. We are not inspired by such nonsensical things. Julius Malema is a balloon of Henneken. He has said it himself. Julius Malema thinks that Henneken is a form of political education. We are not confused. And we must say, as COSAS, because he comes from here, equally as the Youth League, we have a common itch in our butts. And we will scratch that itch. As COSAS, we will ensure that we rectify and fix our factory faults. SASCO needs to ensure that Floyd Shibambo is also fixed because he's a problem. And we must say to the president that we are very grateful that in his leadership, 80% of South African public schools receive free education. In the leadership of President Zuma, students no longer eat pap and milk for feeding scheme. We eat chicken and steak and vegetables. We must say also to that small photocopy Obama who's called Musi Maimane that just because you can speak English does not mean we're inspired by you. Just because you can go to Markham's and Mr. Price and buy a suit does not mean we're inspired by you. Young people of South Africa want academic excellence. Young people of South Africa want education. Young people of South Africa are going to change their own lives. We do not have any expectations from Parliament to make ourselves better. We will go to school, we will learn, and we will take this country forward. Uzoyithola kanjani ungaya esikolweni? Uzoyithola kanjani? Ungaya esikolweni? Comrades, I've passed my woodwork with distinctions. Thank you very much.
Amandla. Amandla. Viva ANCYL, viva. Viva ANCYL, viva. Viva Sasco, 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 viva. Viva Sasco, 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 viva. Amandla. Away too. Thank you very much, comrades. The leadership of the African National Congress, the leadership of the African National Congress Youth League, POI components, delegates, receive our revolutionary greetings. Yet again, we stand before the true parliament of the youth of our country. As we do so, we are ever alive to the magnitude of the task before us. This task, which remains burdensome, is one of defining the trajectory of our youth in South Africa. We are confident more than ever that this Congress, will craft a path that will bring hope to our youth in South Africa. SASCO remains, comrades, your ally. In your times of difficulty, we are always on your side as the ANCYL Youth League. In your times of weaknesses and in your times of strength, we share in those strengths and weaknesses as the South African Students' Congress. It is against this background that we stand to congratulate the ANCYL Youth League, in particular the leadership and the membership of the ANCYL Youth League, for beginning a new page in our collective history. Many within the enemy camp had hoped upon hope that we would fail to arrive at this point. They predicted doom and gloom. However, comrades, we have been able to successfully convene this conference of the ANCYL Youth League. Some had already written our obituaries. They had said that we will never have a leadership of the ANCYL Youth League after them again. But today they eat their heads. We have unveiled the dark veil that hung over us. It is befitting that we do so here in Galaga, where an epoch-making conference of the ANCYL Youth League sat in 2011. We have heard that some of our detractors are already predicting, or they're already panicking, because from here, when we move, all of us, we are going straight to the ground where young people are. Unlike our detractors, we cannot afford to be disunited, because we have a responsibility of leading the whole of the youth of South Africa. They, unfortunately, lead shells which could collapse without the unholy alliance they have with the liberal media in South Africa. We don't have to focus on them because we have a greater responsibility. On more important issues, comrades, as SASCO comrades, would want to raise some few strategic questions for this Congress. It is true that we have declared our generational mission as economic freedom in our lifetime. But unlike those who claim to be governments in waiting, we belong to the ruling movement, which is the government of the day, and therefore are strategically located to ensure that we do deliver economic freedom. Now, in order for us to do this, comrades, we say that we need to analyze the South African economy. The South African economy, comrades, has definitive structural constraints which mitigate against the realization of a better life for all. These constraints are, amongst others, the colonial apartheid ownership structure of our economy, the spatial patterns of development, which are a product of the social geography of apartheid, the monopolistic and multinational structure of the ownership of our economy, and the minerals, energy, and finance complex. We must also accept that over the past 2 decades, we as a ruling government have done little to tamper with the economic structure of our economy. In fact, with some of our microeconomic policy choices we took around 1996, especially GEAR, we have aided and sustained this ownership pattern. At this very moment in our country, we're faced with high levels of youth unemployment, particularly high levels of unemployment, particularly of young people. Our economy is losing jobs. The public sector, in fact, is the only anchor of our economy currently, creating jobs and sustaining employment. Whilst the white monopoly capital remains stubborn and unwilling to invest in the productive economy. For its part, our government has invested decisively in the economy through infrastructure and the provision of social security net for the poorest of our poor. This is commendable, but it is not enough. If we do not tamper with the structure of the economy, we would have done nothing. So SASCO comrades wants to lobby you on a few points. The first one, that this Congress should state clearly that the state should play a leading role in the economy, which includes the ownership and control of strategic assets in our economy. Secondly, we are saying that the finance capital in South Africa should be decisively overhauled to facilitate financial inclusion for our people and mitigate against speculative activities in the economy. Amongst those issues, a nationalization of the Reserve Bank, which will inter alia give the state the capacity to regulate our banks, because currently our banks are regulated by the Reserve Bank, which is privatized. And also to allow the licensing of the Post Bank. We've been talking about the Post Bank, comrades. We're not going to get a license so long as we have a Reserve Bank that has private interest. That's what we must realize. Major regulations of the speculative economy, what we call the casino economy, must take place to ensure that we deal with the mass financialization of our economy. The question of capital flight control to regulate and control profit shifting and tax evasion is important. And comrade, by the way, this issue was first raised by the alliance, was raised by SASCO, the ANC Youth League, the YCL, the party, and COSATU. The whole question around capital flows out of our country. And some people want to expropriate it and use it as a single-line thesis to intellectualism in Parliament. To tell them that these are our policies and they are raising them as if we have not raised these issues. Dealing with the tendency of our banks to sustain the debt trap, particularly of the black middle class in South Africa, this is something that we need to deal with, comrades. Now, overhauling the mandate of the development finance institutions, making it easier for black emerging entrepreneurs to access capital to create employment and for reindustrialization of our economy. The state should re-engineer the social geography of our country by directing capital to invest in the rural periphery. What we have realized, comrades, is that employment and our economy is centered around the metropolis. The metropolis. That is why we have an influx of many people moving from the rural periphery to the metropolitan areas. We are saying, when we do infrastructure development through the SIPS program, President, we need to be able to go and create new cities in the rural periphery where we are going to create employment there, where we are going to ensure that we reindustrialize our economy. When we talk about beneficiation, we must say that those industries must be opened in the rural periphery so that we do really unlock the economic potential of those rural areas. But comrades, I'm going to conclude, Chair. I know that we have been given a political 2 minutes. Now, other issues, comrades, will deal with them sufficiently when we go to commissions. But comrades, on the questions of education where we organize, comrades, as you know, our universities have seen some progressive calls for transformation. This has vindicated our calls for years for the struggle for transformation of higher education. Afrikaner universities, because they remain just that, Afrikaner universities in our country, have for years refused to transform arrogantly, and our government has been sitting and not doing anything about this issue. And we've been raising it. For an example, if you talk about the University of Stellenbosch, it was SASCO, it was the ANC Youth League that have been calling for the disbandment of the Council of the University of Stellenbosch because it refuses to transform. The only time that the state intervenes in our institutions to put them under administration is when you have got issues of financial problems. And those particularly are based on our historically disadvantaged institutions. But these historically white universities who refuse to transform, for example, the University of Stellenbosch, according to the Oversight Committee on Higher Education, if it were to transform at this rate, it will take us another 258 years for it to reach the racial demographics in terms of student intake, to reach the racial demographics in terms of staffing. Now, we don't have 258 years to wait for the University of Stellenbosch. Therefore, we are saying our government must intervene decisively. I'm sitting down, Chairperson. As I sit down, Chair, I want to raise one final issue. The final issue, Chair, is the issue of free education. On the question of free education, comrades, we are lobbying the ANC Youth League to come with us when we go to the NGC of the ANC. because there is a tendency of shifting goalposts on free education. 2007, the ANC resolved on free education. 2012 Mangaung conference, the ANC was very instructive that free education should be implemented by 2014, and a policy concluded by end of 2013. Today we sit in the policy documents of the ANC for the NGC. We are told that we are only going to get the policy by 2018 for implementation in 2019 when, if funds are available. This means, comrades, we are not being serious about decisions we take. And at the same time, we are going to then criticize SASCO when there are emerging elements in institutions rising on the questions of student fees. But our movement is not moving decisively to implement free education. So we're lobbying the Youth League to support us on that.
Amandla! Amandla! Thanks, comrades. Comrades, want to start by saying that we greet you all in this Congress. And our message is simply today, comrades. Our message is simply because we say, let's build a strong PYA and defend the revolution. We say, let's defend the revolution because the counter-revolution is underway, comrades. We want a strong ANCYL League. We want a strong COSAS. We want a strong ANCYL so that we can defend this revolution, comrades. But, comrades, if we are to build a strong PYA and defend the revolution, it is important that we remind ourselves that this Progressive Youth Alliance is a principled alliance. It is an alliance of sharing the same pain, of leading the same membership, where we constitute together the future of this country. There is no individual or even an amount of challenge that can break this alliance. This alliance carries the needs and aspirations of the youth of this country. Therefore, true to our collective efforts, true to our unity, true to our shared understanding, we have a huge responsibility to rally, to mobilize, and educate the youth of our country, comrades. But, comrades, even if one of our own is experiencing difficulties, our responsibility is to rush the occasion and to provide leadership, comrades. Comrades, we come in this Congress whereby as young communists, we are in a program where we are calling for a new deal for the working class in our country. Because the youth of our country is strapped on youth unemployment, is strapped on poverty, is strapped on inequality. Therefore, we call the Youth League to come and work with us, comrades, on this issue. Comrades, because of time, we don't want here, we have prepared our speech, but because of time, we want to say a few things, comrades. We want to say, comrades, it is important that as this generation of youth in our country, we play our role in the revolution, comrades. We must defeat the counter-revolution. And we call you, comrade Collins, and your collective, that you must come and join the young communists to defeat and kill EFF in this country, comrades. You must come and join us, comrades. Comrades, as this generation, who are the torch bearers of the revolution, who are the champions of the revolution, we must be the largest sector of the revolution. And you must remain energetic, you must remain vibrant, and you must militant, and you must defend the Youth League, comrades. But, comrades, allow me, because of time, to quote your president, Comrade Malusi. When he was closing the Congress in 1998, he said, I quote, comrades, often we have allowed ourselves to be driven by interests that are contrary to the agents of unity, particularly when positions are concerned. We have often tended to shout our eyes and ears to the very question when we raise in theory and flash away in practice. The end result of all this is that we destroy the organization. This organization was built over decades by a specific generation of youth cadres, dedicated to the freedom of their people right to the end, and was built through blood and sweat, life and limb. We, today's generation, have no right to destroy this organization. Close quote. The onus is on you, comrades. It's either you build Youth League or you destroy it. But the unity of Youth League is paramount. We don't need a weak Youth League. We don't need a divided Youth League. We don't need a weak PYA. We need a strong PYA to defend the revolution. Amandla!
Thank you very much, comrades, for messages of support from our PYA structures. I'll now allow messages of support from our fraternal organizations. I will start with ZANU PF. ZANU PF ZANU PF. Please, let's encourage ZANU PF as they come forward. They will be followed by JMPLA and the SWAPO Youth League as they come forth. Thank you. Let's encourage them.
Which mic is working?
I'm told your flight is leaving soon.
Yeah. 1 o'clock. Check-in is 1.
Amandla ilizwe phambili nge-ANC Youth League phambili ngokubusa. The NEC members here present, members of the ANC Youth League, delegates, foreign guests, and special mention of my National Secretary for the Treasury in the Youth League, Comrade Tongai Kasukwere, and our business delegate, Bopela Masia Kurima. Comrades, brothers and sisters, the theme of the Congress is a theme that the majority of the African youth understand and embrace. And the adoption of this theme by the ANC leadership should instill confidence in you that the ANC leadership is dedicated to accelerating the extinction of economic disability amongst the youth of the ANC and the country. The comrade vice president yesterday mentioned that the youth must be attractive. While we appreciate attractiveness in the form of physical appearance, in nice weaves and nice suits of the members, what the comrade vice president was actually talking about is attractiveness of the person. He was talking about your well-being. He was talking about you and your behavior. He was talking about you being able to be deployable in future, because being a member of the ANC Youth League must not mean only radicalism. It must also mean educating yourself and empowering yourselves and putting yourselves in a position that makes you attractive to the president to deploy you further. We need a disciplined youth, just like we have in ZANU PF and the ANC Youth League and all other comrades. We need you to remain focused and defend the ANC Revolutionary Party at all times, and dependable. And also, as the youth, we need to learn that we are not children, and we need to stop being influenced by people with personal agendas. Because when you are expelled from the party, they don't go with you. ZANU PF, through President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, would like to congratulate the newly elected ANC Youth League President, Comrade Collins Maine, and the rest of the executive. And we wish ANC well, and we will always be with you, just like we were with you in the trenches during our apartheid and during the liberation struggle of Zimbabwe, we were all together as one with Frelimo, with SWAPO, Chama Chama Pinduza of Tanzania, and our comrades from Angola. Lastly, comrades, we would like to thank you very much for your hospitality on my behalf and on my two comrades. And we encourage that we meet more and we always work together and fight for a revolution. Hayichukucha ANC Youth League, hayichukucha. Phansi imperialism, phansi. Siyabonga, siyalithanda lonke.
Oh, very good. Amandla. Amandla. Before I start with my speech, I would like to take out my hat for you for what you have achieved in this Congress. Dear Comrade President Jacob Zuma in his absentia, the NTT coordinator, Martin Mutetwa, MTT convener Fikile Mbalula, NTT member Comrade Malusi Gigaba, NTT member Comrade Mafu, as well as Comrade Squasha, and our veteran, the ANC veteran, Comrade Andrew Mlangeni in his absentia, the newly elected president of the ANC Youth League, Comrade Colin Maine, members of the Diplomatic Corps, invited guests, progressive members of the ANC Youth League present here, and all protocol observed. Please receive our revolutionary greeting from the active and militant radical Swapo Party Youth League. Dear comrades, it is important that when we meet in South Africa on the invitation of the African National Congress Youth League, we must at all times do so with regard to history. The African National Congress is the oldest liberation movement, and it was a movement for all Africans beyond the borders of South Africa. We found ourselves, many African people found themselves working in the mine here in South Africa. The real birth of Pan-Africanism began here, and the new lingua franca was born, and it was called Fanakalo. In Namibia, you might find some elders, if you greet him and say Kunjani, they will understand very well. Our respective countries in Southern Africa are free because the people work together to fight a common enemy: apartheid, colonialism, and imperialism. On a day such as this, therefore, we pay tribute to the fearless freedom fighters and the heroes of our respective countries, like Julius Malemu Nyerere, Nelson Mandela, Robert Mugabe, Agustino Neto, and Dr. Sam Nujoma, as well as Samora Machel. These gallant leaders ensured political independence at the prime years of their lives, and they were able to execute the historical battle because of their energy, of stamina of the youth, and which I believe I can also see the vibrant stamina, the higher stamina in the youth who are present here. We equally need energy and stamina to consolidate the unity of our people and the youth of our sub-region and the youth of our sister parties towards economic emancipation and empowerment. Namibia and South Africa, our two sister parties, ANC and SWAPO party, have always enjoyed solid relationship before and after independence. And to the envy of the West, in 2008, ANC and SWAPO party resolved to further strengthen relationship through formal and regular interaction at a meeting that took place in Windhoek, which was led by former President Comrade Hifikepunye Pohamba and Comrade Jacob Zuma. The relationship between SWAPO and ANC and the other liberation movement is that of comradeship, and it is a responsibility of our generation to ensure that it continues forever. On a sad note, it's an open secret that all former liberation movements in Southern Africa are all at war. We are at war against imperialism, and at the same time, we have also enemies within ourselves. So the West are working tirelessly, trying to collapse all the liberation movement in Southern Africa. And please, we must not leave any room for the West to exploit. We must ensure that we put a lid to all infighting that are within our organization. Comrades, the idea of unity must not be a sentimental yearning or an utopian dream of the latter-day fantasies. Comrades, we need to honor the will of the youth, and ANC Youth League has weathered a lot of storms, and we are hopeful that unity is possible and it will be achieved during this Congress. As vanguard of our revolutionary parties, let us remain united, principled in advancing the interests of our people. The unity that we will cultivate in this Congress must serve as a pillar for the ANC Youth League moving forward. Amandla! Amandla! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva SWAPO, viva! Viva MPLA, viva! Viva Frelimo, viva! Viva Chama cha Mapinduzi, viva! Awetu! Amandla! I thank you. Okay, comrade.
Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva South Africa, viva!
Excellency, entity members, President of ANC Youth League, dear delegates to this 25th National Congress of the ANC Youth League. First of all, I would like to send you the warm greetings of Angolan youth, of the MPLA party and his youth league, and the great pacemaker and the leader of the Angolan development, Mr. President José Eduardo dos Santos. We are convinced that this 25th Congress will turn the ANC Youth League stronger and powerful as ever, and we will be ready to work with the new leadership in order to keep promoting the fighting for the young people's causes related with jobs, education, entrepreneurship, and disciplined political participation, helping our parties and our countries to keep united and developed. That's what Oliver Tambo fought for, and that's what Antonio Agostinho Neto fought for. Dear comrades, the presence in this Congress of delegates coming from all the different provinces of South Africa and representing the different groups of the South African young people is the most important signal that ANC Youth League is the right choice of the South African youth and shows how important it is to conclude and to make strong this rebuilding process. We fully appreciate the way it's taking place, according to the rules of procedure approved by delegates democratically. This Congress speaks also about economic freedom, and in Angola, President dos Santos is leading the fighting of the economic diversification with a strong and organized participation of the young people. But for that, we would like to advise you to invest a lot on the patriotic education of the young militants of the Youth League, because this is the basis of our liberation movements. Like Mr. President dos Santos once said, young people remain special. They were special in the past, and we became independent and free. They are special in the present, and we need them to develop our societies. We wish good work for the new directive members and all the best for ANC, for the South African youth, and Mr. President Zuma. Viva Africa, viva! Viva South Africa, viva! Amandla! Amandla! Thank you very much.
Comrades, thank you very much. I'm going to read these two messages of support, one from the World Federation of Democratic Youth, which reads thus: Dear comrades, thank you very much for this invitation. The ANC League Congress is one of the few World Federation of Democratic Youth founding members, has been always a very important gathering for us amongst our members. We wish to congratulate the ANC Youth League for this milestone and wish all the best to the new leadership. Forward for a world of peace and social transformation. Best regards, the Vice President of World Federation of Democratic Youth. The second one, comrades, from Frelimo Youth League, Mozambique, and it reads thus: Dear comrades, we are very glad for the fact that the ANC Youth League is organizing its elective congress. This kind of movement are unique in our organization, and we are always the right ground to fresh up our masses and structures to enable us to face the future with confidence. We feel sorry that we could not attend the Congress, but at the same time, hopefully, to work closely with the newly elected leadership, and we wish them the best of luck. The ANC Youth League will remain our sister organization, as ANC party is for our Frelimo. We salute this Congress, and we wish you all the best. Comrade yours, Pedro Rico Cosa, the General Secretary of Frelimo Youth League. These were the messages of support, comrades. Let's give them a round of applause. Comrades, let me acknowledge the presence of Comrade Rapo Molekane, the former SG of PSYCO and the first SG of the ANC Youth League is amongst ourselves here. Let's encourage him as he comes forward to greet the delegates of this 25th National Congress of the ANC Youth League. Can we encourage Comrade Rapo as he comes forward? One revolutionary song, comrades.
Amandla, Matla, Matla, freedom or death, freedom or death, each one. Well, the leadership of the ANC present here, the leadership of the entity that has convened this lovely conference, the newly elected leadership of the ANC Youth League, we bring our greetings to you. As you can see from the slogans I'm shouting, some of you were not born when we led this glorious movement. We would like to encourage you that you need to unite behind this leadership that you have elected. You need to work very hard to ensure that the dreams of your forebearers comes to fruition. As you move out today or tomorrow to your various provinces, you owe it to the leaders, your founding leaders, and more especially the last president of the ANC Youth League after the unbannings, Comrade Patrick Mulawa, a member of the Lutuli detachment who died in the forests of Zimbabwe in Wanki. We need not forget also the founding leaders of the ANC Youth League in 1991, Comrade Peter Mokaba. We owe it to them to ensure that the African National Congress leads this country. I don't care if I'm quoted, until Jesus Christ comes back. So we wish you all the best. We want to encourage you to please, after all the difficulties that we have gone through, ensure that you leave no institution of higher learning, high school, the unemployed youth, the working youth, you leave no quota to counter-revolutionaries, and you organize them, and they all become members of the African National Congress Youth League. I would like to close, Chair, with a quote from the life president, honorary president of the ANC Youth League, Comrade O.R. Tambo. He says, a country, a people, and an organization that does not honor its youth does not deserve its future. You are the future, and therefore grab the future now and make it what you want it to be. Matla.
Comrades, siyabonga, thank you very much. Siyaqhuba. Siyasebenza. Comrades, we are going to allow Comrade, before Comrade Unjabulo, there were reports, there was a report yesterday presented here. The organizational report presented by Utatu Nati. Now, Comrade Unati presented a report yesterday. Now it must be adopted. I would like to invite comrades, a mover for adoption of the report, so that we can be able to own the report as a Congress. Comrade, I'm noting you there. Can we assist comrades, this mic here?
Okay. Thanks, Comrade Chair. My name is Sizopila Kize from KwaZulu-Natal, Teguni region. Comrade Chair, I want to move for adoption, but I was, however, hoping that we'll be able to ask clarities before we adopt. But in the case of what you just said, let me move for adoption. Thank you.
There is a mover for adoption. Yeah.
Order, Chair. Can I raise an order?
An order?
Yes.
No, wait
Please,
for now.
it's important. Chair.
No, wait. I'll come back to you. Any seconder? Yes, Chief.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Josian Kosi from Mpumalanga, the PEC member. I second.
Thank you. The order. Let's hear.
Yes, thank you. Ndingus Campbell Machova from the Western Cape, Tula Omar region. Chair, I believe that is a closed session, this one. Now, if people are going to ask clarities and discuss the organizational report in front of the media and others, I think you must give guidance on that, please.
Thank you. Order not sustained. We are moving. Report adopted. I'm going to allow Comrade Njabulo to come and present a process yama commissions. Comrade Njabulo.
Order.
Amandla.
Order. Order.
Viva ANCYL, click Viva. Viva ANCYL, click Viva. Viva ANC, Viva. Jigijela ufasimba jigijela. Viva Sasko, Viva. Viva Kosas, Viva. Viva Makomanisi, Viva. Amandla. Comrades, as we go to the most important part, commissions. Now, the issue of the organizational report will form part of Commission 1, which is building the organization. Comrades who have issues around organizational report who want to engage on it further can obviously decide to go to the first commission. Now, mine is to do a breakdown of these commissions. The first commission is on organizational building, focusing on how do we mobilize minorities, focusing on the role of the ANC Youth League in campuses, and revisiting discussions around ANC Youth League branches in campuses, and how do we build a popular youth culture, and review of our structures. It's a very important commission, comrades. The chairperson of the commission is the Gauteng Provincial Chairperson, Comrade Matumi. The rapporteur is Comrade from Northwest Deputy Chairperson. Resource person is Nyami Boy and Cindy Somakata. The scriber is Tembinkosi Josop. This commission will be at Hall 1A. I hope comrades are capturing it correctly. I'm sure we have pens, we have papers to capture these things because they are very important. Don't want people when you go out to start asking which commission is where. Building the organization, comrades, it's at Hall 1A. The second commission is on international relations. The chairperson is Comrade Vusim Kachwa, Deputy Secretary of Mpumalanga. The rapporteur is Limpopo, Deputy Provincial Chairperson. Resource person, Nomfanelo Kota. Scriber is Philip Musekwa. It's at the auditorium outside lunch venue, comrades. So International Relations Commission is in auditorium outside the lunch venue. The third commission is youth development and social transformation. The chairperson is the Eastern Cape Provincial Chairperson. The rapporteur is the Free State Deputy Chairperson. Resource person is Yashin Pillay and Songwezom Jongile. The scribe is Tulani Tefuta. Room number is at Exhibition Restaurant. So the third commission, which is youth development and social transformation, will be conducted at Exhibition Restaurant. The fourth commission, economic development and youth employment. The chairperson of the commission is Northern Cape Deputy Provincial Chairperson. The rapporteur is the Eastern Cape Deputy Chairperson. Resource person is Comrade Mzwandile Masina. The scriber is Comrade Busani Ngaweni. It's going to be here at Plenary Hall. Economic development and youth employment, it's at Plenary Hall, comrades. The Berkeley of Ideas is going to be chaired by the Limpopo Provincial Chairperson, Comrade Shoba. The rapporteur is going to be KZN Deputy Chairperson, Comrade Gwazi. The resource person is Comrade Keith Koza and Mloto Mutapo. The scriber is Lawrence Venkile. It's going to be held at Ballroom 2. Berkeley of Ideas is at Ballroom 2. Legislature and Governance. The chairperson is Comrade Siabonga Kotininene, the treasurer of KZN. The rapporteur is Gauteng Deputy Chairperson. Resource person is Ayanda Dlodlo and Rupen Mohlolonga. The scriber is Tandazo Tlemeza. It's going to be held at Hall 1B. Legislature and Governance, it's in Hall 1B. The Commission on Constitutional Amendments, comrades, which was very heated yesterday, The chairperson is Western Cape Provincial Chairperson, Comrade Khalid. The rapporteur is Northwest Deputy Chairperson. Resource person is Comrade Andrew Snell and Faith Mutambi. The scriber is Bongani Mkongi. It's going to be at Ballroom 1, comrades. That is the last commissions. Provincial secretaries must ensure that the delegation that they came with here is present in all these commissions, comrades. The reason we came here at Kalaka was not to elect leadership, but was to reshape the thinking of the ANC Youth League and come up with concrete resolutions and a program of action. So we'll expect comrades to exercise maximum discipline and attend these commissions so that when they go back home, they do not say, we do not know where this decision was taken, whereas they were absent in commissions. Comrades must attend these commissions. Provincial secretaries will make sure that they do an allocation as to which delegates go to which commissions so that we ensure that there is proper spread of delegation throughout the whole commissions. It's very important, comrades. Thanks.
Yes, are we good? It's
Can they come to the stage when we break for lunch? Rapporteurs, chairpersons, scribers, and the drafting committee. Can they come here to the stage? All the people, the SG have actually, right, I just wanted to ask for that. No break. Whoa. No complaint. We are now going to allow comrades to break for lunch. By 2 o'clock, all of us must be here so that we can start with nominations for additional members. Let's break for lunch.
Well, President Jacob Zuma eventually addressed the Congress, albeit it was hours after the scheduled time. But when he took to the podium, he spoke on a number of issues that he felt needed to be addressed and addressed urgently by this Congress. But he started, of course, by congratulating the new leadership of the ANC Youth League, which he said has a lot of work to do over the next few years as it seeks to rebuild itself, rebuild the organization, but perhaps more importantly, do what young people of the ANC are expected to do. Now, before he went on to speak on several key points, he started by speaking to an issue that he felt brought the ANC Youth League where it is now, which resulted in the disbanding of the Youth League's leadership 3 years ago or so. And that was the issue of autonomy. Autonomy was one of the key issues that brought about the conflict between the ANC Youth League and its mother body. And here's what President Jacob Zuma had to say around the issue of autonomy.
The vision of the ANC Youth League, cannot be anything other than the vision of the ANC, because it is the ANC Youth League and the Youth League of the ANC, no matter which way you coin it. I'm saying this because by now you should know that once the ANC Youth League or elements of it begin to emphasize the autonomy of the ANC Youth League, you must know they are thinking of breaking away. Absolutely. Well, there's no need to do so. The autonomy is known. The ANC is big. It has leagues that belong to it.
Well, President Zuma also had his own take on where the wheels came. Okay, let's do that again.
Some voices.
Yeah, let's start with the first one, but I don't think I was happy with that. Let's start again. Okay. Yeah. Well, President Jacob Zuma eventually addressed the Congress of the ANC Youth League, albeit it was hours after the scheduled time. Put it back. Sorry, I'm silly. No, I put it down. Sorry. Sorry.
All right, it's my fault. Let's do it again.
I thought it's ban.